Okay, we're in for a treat. I was originally going to interview and have a fireside chat with Jorge. He couldn't be with us due to a family emergency, but I have a treat for you. So I'm going to be having a conversation with Marcelo De Santis. He is our newest board member, and we're going to learn all about him and a couple of other things that he's learned through life and through his journey through technology. So this is going to be a little bit of an interactive conversation. So keep that in mind, and please prepare your questions because you're going to want to ask a lot of them. Okay.
Well, thank you for having me, Rosa. Look at this. It's a leadership powerhouse.
This is a leadership powerhouse, absolutely. Wow. And we welcome all of those in live stream as well. So, Marcelo, you are one of the newest members of the HITEC Board of Directors. So we're going to get to know you a little bit better. Yesterday, we spoke about HITEC being a global organization. And your experience has been truly global. Can you share with us a little bit about your global experience in your journey through technology?
Absolutely. I tell you a little bit of a journey. It is a real journey, right? I am actually from Argentina. I started my career in technology as an entrepreneur. I started a software company. I was a developer, C++ at the time, right? I was programming in a PC XT Turbo.
Wow. That means it was faster, right?
I was super fast. And spent some time as an entrepreneur, sold my company. I didn't have a VC or an accelerator. At that point, the only VC I had was the Visa credit card of my father. That's all I had, right?
That works too.
These days, you know.
That works too.
And then got into consulting in PwC for a few years, working actually not that much in Argentina. I was Brazil and Spain. I was in the telecommunications industry. And after that, 20 years of experience between Kraft Foods and Mondelez, which actually are more or less similar companies. And that's where I came to the US. I came to New York to be the CIO for Latin America first. Then I got a global position for a Center of Excellence for Business Intelligence and Analytics. Then I moved to Asia, to Singapore, where I lived 4 years and a half. The last year, practically I lived between Mumbai and Shanghai. I came back to New York to be the CIO for North America for Mondelez, in charge of digital transformation. My profile changed dramatically when I came back. I was just working with the CMO in building consumer experiences to sell chocolates through digital channels, extremely fun work. And at one point, I was approached by a company called Pirelli. I don't know how many of you know Pirelli. It's a tire manufacturer. How many of you like Formula One? So you will know Pirelli, right?
They like going fast.
They like going fast. We are the exclusive supplier for Formula One. And my role there was to build a startup within a large traditional corporation. And the startup was about IoT business.
And it was not funded by Visa?
It was not funded by Visa. That was not enough, the credit limit. Absolutely not. It was much more expensive. Adding a sensor to the tires, starting to sell information to companies like Google, Waymo, Tesla, right, things like that. And I worked on that for two years almost. Came back to the US, really got into entrepreneurship and helping startups, and my heart is there. My heart is with the entrepreneurs, and specifically with the minority entrepreneurs that need a lot of help. Only 2% of VC funding is going to those guys, so we need to change that, absolutely.
Yeah, we heard a little bit about that yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we talked about that. And here I am, I'm back in Chicago. I'm not planning to move for a few months. I don't want to say a few years because my wife is going to tell me that I never, I'm accurate about my forecasts. But executive advisor for ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks is a company that basically does digital transformation, which is very, very intense, right? We do not only build technology for companies that have technology at the core, but also we change the way teams work, right? And we have a couple of people in our team that were the ones that wrote the Agile Manifesto. So when we talk about agile ways of working, it's the real thing. It's not the post-its and the stand-up meeting and that's it. We really change the way companies work end to end. So that's my global experience, so to speak.
Did you think that your career benefited from that mobility that you had?
I think it did. I didn't plan it that way, right? I like to say that when I was 11 years old, my father asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, and I said I want to work with people from different countries. But I cannot claim that I planned that. It benefited me in terms of knowing different markets, different people. Working in Asia, to me, I thought we were super diverse within Latin America. When I got to Asia, and I'm in a consumer goods company, and trying to sell consumer experiences that were designed for the US in countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. I tell you, each of those countries, I learned a lot, not only about the business, but specifically, most importantly, about people.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the biggest learning. I mean, I think if you feel comfortable with people coming from with different perspectives, different backgrounds, when you learn to do that, you enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. I would never be able to work in a company just, one flavor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I love the different flavors of the cultures. And I don't know, that brings some flexibility to my character, I would say awareness, things like that.
Yeah. So your childhood wish came true?
I think so.
Wow, how about that? How rarely does that happen? As I was going through your background, there was one common theme, and that was around transformation. So we're going to do a little audience participation exercise. And I know you already stood up and did the whole high five thing, but I want you all to stand up again. So, rise.
Do we rise with them?
Yeah, no, we don't have to rise with them.
Okay.
We're going to stay seated. Okay, so if you think transformation means digital, please have a seat. If you think transformation is all about the cloud, please have a seat. If you think transformation is all about agile, please have a seat. If you think transformation is all about AI, please have a seat. If you think transformation is all about data, please have a seat. If you think transformation is all about people, please have a seat.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Okay. And for those of you who are still standing, I want you all to ask or answer to me what you think transformation is. You could either do it now or we could do it later. But all of the above. Okay, all of the above. There we go. Thank you. Have a seat. So, thank you for humoring us. Marcelo, given that you have focused so much around this, what does good look like when we're talking about technology transformation?
That's a difficult question to answer, right? I mean, each company...
They all answered it.
Yeah. I think, I tell you a story. When I was in Mondelez, we did this first workshop with the leadership team, right? With Irene, at that point was the CEO, and the rest of the CXO. And the first question we asked to the team, you have, the top of the house, get the post-it and define what do you think digital transformation, there were 12 people, okay, is for this company. And how many different answers do you think we got? 12 different answers, right? None of them were incorrect. Actually, they were all very good answers, but the point is, it's very difficult to define what is the answer for a company, and that, I think, is a critical success factor. But in my point of view, to your question, is I don't believe in digital transformation strategies. I do believe in business strategies for a digital economy. Technology is an enabler. It's a great accelerator of business and life, because today is business and life, but it's not the outcome. The outcome is, how do I create a new revenue stream? How do I delight my customers? How do I get connected to my consumers in a way that they want to talk to me? I'm not pushing advertisement. They want to talk to me, right? Because I'm relevant for them. So, to me, a great digital transformation is when you get that outcome clear, and when the whole organization understands that it's technology that has to change, that is people that have to change. And when I'm saying people, I double click on people, and you will have the organizational structure, the ways of working, the mindset, the culture of a company, right? I was with, and I want to tell you what company. I was sitting in this meeting talking about digital transformation, and the CEO, she said, but you need to understand, Marcelo, here, failure is not an option. Ooh. Because quality is important for us, right? And I said, we need to digest failure in a different way if we really want to reinvent ourselves. Because you want to reinvent yourself, you need to be able to deal with that calculated failure.
Kind of fail fast.
Yeah,
right?
fail fast, learning fast, reducing uncertainty, things like that. So organization and culture are at the core of any transformation. And technology, again, technology is the new kid in the block, and it will continue to change. And the technologies we're using now, I tell you, when you hear someone that is a technology guru, I typically smile politely, right? Because you can be the technology guru for the next 6 months. But that's it. In 6 months, we are going to be talking about something different, and that technology is just hype and no traction. So, think about that: people, organization, and a clear outcome, and I think you're good to go.
And fail fast. And
fail fast. Learn.
And put that in. So, yesterday at the women's breakfast and in some of the sessions at the EEP session, we spoke about being a disruptor, both in industry and also personally. You work for a company that has a very unique purpose, ThoughtWorks, and I'm actually quoting an article that you posted. ThoughtWorks believes that organizational culture, clients, industry benefit from the backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives of people from all walks of life. Can you talk about the intersectionality between diversity, digital, technology, and innovation? How is that put to practice through at ThoughtWorks? Oh. And then also share your pronoun with me.
I will. Oh, you know a lot about ThoughtWorks.
I know a little bit.
So I'm very proud of being part of ThoughtWorks. Let me tell you a little bit of the company in case you don't know them, right? I mean, for us, what drives us is that we do believe profoundly that in 5, 6, 7 years, every single business is going to be a technology business. It's going to be at the intersection of technology and data. Even a panaderia is going to be a technology. I tell you, greater degree or lesser, but it's going to be there. So that's what drives the company, right? And we have 3 pillars of our culture, which are extremely important. The first one is really growing with technology at the core, the businesses of our clients, right? Growing their businesses, growing their revenues, growing their market share, the impact in their communities. That's very important for us. It's a whole pillar for our customers. The second pillar is a whole pillar for our industry. So if you get into the website of ThoughtWorks, you're going to see, as I said before, 2 or 3 of the people that wrote the Agile Manifesto are in the company. You will see that we write books about software engineering practices. Lean Enterprise is coming from ThoughtWorks. All the DevOps movement, ThoughtWorks has been instrumental in building the practices and evolving them. Extremely huge contributor to open source, jointly with Microsoft, which is maybe the first, right, in the ranking. And that's the second one, is how do we shape the technology industry with a pragmatic point of view. And this is very important. We talk about trends. We love to talk about, look, we have an academy in where we intersect technology and arts. To teach robots, we put a robot, and we pair up that robot with a dancer. So the robot learns how dexterity, right?
To be graceful.
Yeah, be graceful.
A graceful robot.
Right, because the robots today are a little bit robotic, right? By definition, right? So how do we make them a little bit more human? So we work on those things, but when we go to companies, we want to be pragmatic. The last one, which is, we do believe that technology has an impact in our lives, and we really advocate for using technology for social justice. So you will see a lot of our thought workers working for nonprofits for free. And we actually strongly recommend people to do that. We go, we educate women for becoming software engineers, minorities to become software engineers. We work with organizations like Identity 2020 in order to make sure that people that today are invisible in the world, they don't have an ID, they can get access to social help and things like that, right? They can move from one country to the other, things like that. So we are big on that. Now, diversity is at the core of ThoughtWorks. It's so at the core, I'm going to give you 2 examples so you get it. And it's actually uncomfortable. It was for me when I joined the company in January. It's a positive feeling of being uncomfortable. You get into the company, and they teach you how to introduce yourself. So if I am in a meeting in ThoughtWorks, I will say, my name is Marcelo, and I would like you to use the pronoun he and him. And
I'm she and her, by the way. That's my
excellent,
okay.
Excellent. And that is how we introduce ourselves. The second thing is, 10 years ago, we started to intentionally recruit transgender software engineers that are part of our company. Great minds. So when you get into diversity in ThoughtWorks, it's really at the core, number one. Then we bring that diversity in the digital products we create, in the algorithms that we write, in the innovation strategies that we put together for our clients. And actually, we go to our clients, and when we get into a real agile team, we want to make sure that we have a cross-functional team, that we have people from all the different parts of the organization. And by the way, we want the customer. And let me give you an example here that happened to me in Pirelli. I was in this cross-functional team, and we said, okay, who is the customer that is going to provide feedback to our product design and development? Well, we are going to get this person, XYZ, he's a great proxy to the customer. No, we're not going to work like that. We want the driver of the Lamborghini that is going to be using the smart tires.
Can we get a ride too?
Oh, and then I tell you, absolutely, absolutely. I have my contacts still, so feel free to ask. So we bring the diversity in the culture because we do believe, not because it's a nice thing to do, because we do believe since software is going to be a great part of business and life in the future, if we don't bring that diversity in the code that we write, we're going to have a problem.
So you mentioned a number of times that that at ThoughtWorks you wrote, they wrote the Agile Manifesto, right? Mm-hmm. So what does it take to run an agile technology organization?
It takes a lot of 2 things. Positive arrogance, because, and I tell you why, let me explain positive arrogance. If you work with our team, the first hour of a meeting, you're going to hate us. But just the first half an hour, because it's with positive intent, because we're going to go to our clients and we're going to say, this is the way that we need to work to be responsive to consumers. And we do it our way, and we're out of here. Positive arrogance. The second thing is feeling comfortable failing. And if you're leading an agile team, if you're a product manager, for example, you need to make sure, because we all know how to lead successful teams, right? When we succeed, we go for drinks, we take pictures, selfies, right? We put in Instagram. The challenging thing of leadership is if you are in an agile team that is going to fail probably many times before you get it right, because if you are doing really horizon 3 innovation, you don't quite know what good looks like at the beginning, right? So you are iterating and learning, reducing uncertainty, and putting your bets, in some cases pivoting, in some cases removing the investment on that experiment and starting a new one. You need to know how to lead your teams through the failure phase. Yeah. How do you keep them engaged? Not only them, your sponsors. Because I've been on the seat of Marcelo, it's the 3rd time that you come here saying, we failed for the 3rd time, but let me tell you how much we learned. But by the way, we go live with the product of September 1st in the West Coast. Don't worry, we will get there. Show me the plan. My plan is continue to iterate up until we get it right. I tell you, you don't want to be in that seat. Or you want to be in that seat and learn how to do it. But it's a different conversation, guys. That's real agile ways of working. So positive arrogance and leadership in terms of having the courage to push the envelope, but also having the compassion and the attention to lead your teams and your sponsors through the failure phase.
Okay. Positive arrogance. I'm going to remember that one. So let's talk a little bit about outcomes. This was something that I think Kathy mentioned yesterday. Data and decision making. How important is data required? How important is data in the requirement to come to the right outcomes? What role does data have to play in arriving at those outcomes?
I think we all hear data is an asset, right? And I am. If you follow my articles, you will find that I always complaining that why, if it is an asset, it's not in the balance sheet, right? And and in some cases there is something around that, but not so standardized. But it is extremely important because the data you put into any intelligent automation systems, you can call it AI, machine learning, whatever, right? Whatever different flavors of AI as we saw yesterday, is going to drive the quality of the results you're going to have, right? So it's important that data reflects the context of the problem that you're trying to solve, right? And it's not only because you can send to your customer a bad recommendation about the product, right? If you're at Amazon, you say, Marcelo, you should buy pink shoes. I would say, well, yeah, not really, right? I don't like pink. I would better like orange, right? And that doesn't have a huge implication. But just look at what happened with the criminal justice system in the US, right? These algorithms that are actually making a decision about if a person goes to jail or not. And I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned because I love to innovate and move fast with technology, but I think since the change that we are experiencing is so dramatic and exponential, we need to pause sometimes and understand what the hell are we doing with technology and what is the impact in humans, right? In our businesses. So data is at the core of all of this. And we need to learn how to manage data. Let's be honest, if I do a quick poll here in this audience and I tell you who has, cracked the code of data management in your companies, don't tell me, right? But don't.
No.
But I still go to companies and we're still discussing, you know what, I just want to get that P&L by customer that is not efficient. But you know what, I want to get algorithms that get my 15 months in advance of forecast. Because let's be honest, we never look at data as an asset, and we started to put the right processes, skills in place to manage it as an asset, right? So to make the long story short, super critical. We need to manage as an asset, but also not only with a business lens, but what is the impact of data in our society and for humanity in general. I think governments have to start to look at this. I'm concerned also because you see in the TV some conversations between people that should be writing policy, asking technologists about what they're doing, and the questions are very basic, right? So how do we help also our governments to step up, ask the right questions, and come up with policies or guidelines or frameworks in what we can build technology that is good for humanity, not only for business.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about one of your hobbies. So yesterday we heard from Kathy Besant, and you all heard that she climbed a pretty big mountain, right? And you are also a mountain climber. How does that experience help you be a great technology leader?
First thing is you get 3G access in Everest Base Camp. And you can post. Incredible, right? So, and I didn't have anything to do with that. But I think what you learn in mountaineering are specifically around managing teams and your role in a team and many things. You know, I tell you something that always struck me when I started mountaineering, right? And I went to do this training in New Zealand, right? My first time I was climbing a mountain, right? 3,000 meter peaks in New Zealand. They are not so high, they are super technical. You have to do ice climbing and walk on crampons, and you know, your rope skills have to be pretty solid. And when we come back at the end of the training session, the instructor says, you need to tell me what is the most important skill to climb a mountain.
And it's not positive arrogance.
It's not. It is not. And yeah, I mean, I said, you know, rope skills. No, another person says, planning. No, really.
You iterate.
Yeah.
No plan, iterate.
Not really. And we were saying all the things that we learned during the week, right? Crevasse rescue, right? On crampon technique, ice climbing, how to use the ice axe. No, there is only one. The day that you wake up and you look at your team and you say you're going to climb, you go and climb it. You have to be extremely sure that you're going to do it, because if it is a team of one, it's a team of four, sorry, and you get to the half of the mountain and you need to come back, there is another person that has to come back with you. So you are impacting 50% of the power and the safety of your team. That's one learning. The second learning was when I got to Everest Base Camp for the first time, after climbing other mountains, by the way. Everest was not the first.
Don't start there. Don't start there. Iterate.
So we did a ceremony, which I didn't do before, and you know, we sit in the tent, and people have to say, why are you climbing this mountain? What is motivating you to climb Everest? So you get to know the story of each person. Then you need to say, what are you good at as a mountaineer? For example, I'm very good at crevasse rescue. Ice climbing with axe, I'm not good. So people know what are you good at, but also which are your weaknesses. And the reason we do that is when there is a disaster in the mountain that actually puts the team under stress, you better know who is the right person to go. And you better know who is the right person to do something different. Because in a matter of 3 or 4 seconds, an avalanche comes, and that's it.
Yikes.
So the ability of a mountaineering climbing team to gel and become one in a short period of time, because we are all coming from different parts of the world. We are trekking for 10 days to Everest Base Camp, and then we start to get into the mountain, which is extremely dangerous. We have only 10 days to gel, and as human beings. And if you're in a mountain like this, it doesn't matter if you are a technology leader, if you drive a Lamborghini, if you are a HITEC 50, mountain equalizes human beings. The only thing you have, you cannot sleep, you cannot eat, you cannot do 1 and 2 properly, you cannot take showers. The only thing you have is your attitude. For yourself, but most importantly, for the other 3 or 4 that are around you. Because if you're in a bad day, you stay in your tent. You don't go for that day. You go the day after. So those are the things I learned from mountaineering. I think are more leadership things that I learned. I was extremely humbled by the generosity of my team in very difficult situations in Everest. Very difficult, right? But humanity is wonderful, guys. As we think about technology getting into our lives, in machines collaborating with humans, let's keep an eye on how do we become more humans. When machines are going to do the work that we might not like to do that much, let's use that time to become more humans. It's so wonderful. So
leadership, humanity,
compassion, listening, owning the success of the person, your family, your office co-workers, your communities. We change the world.
So let's wrap up a little bit before we do some Q&A. That was very inspiring. So a couple things. You had your first HITEC meeting, your board meeting. Who was the most engaged board member? I'm just joking.
Everyone.
Oh, come on.
No, I think,
but what are you most excited about in terms of HITEC in the future?
no, I mean, I am excited about the people always being. I know HITEC for 9 years. I couldn't engage up until maybe a year ago because I've been traveling, but the people, the community, the real sense of family. We say we are a family, we are. And I was talking to one of the members, and I said, the best thing you can do here is to get to know people personally.
Yeah.
Right? And offer help when people don't ask you for help. Because it will come back to you, and if it doesn't come back, it doesn't matter. It comes back to the community, which is the most important thing. But from the meeting, first it was extremely well organized, and thanks to Omar and the team. I'm excited about, we are discussing strategic topics like, what do we want to become as HITEC?
Yeah.
What else do we want to do, right? I mean, it's such a powerful question, very difficult question to answer, right? And we will answer, right, with the team. But the sky is the limit for us, guys. I mean, we can have an impact that is above and beyond of what we do in the office, in our communities, right?
And your word for our emerging executives?
Fearless.
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 Okay, all right. So I think we have some time for questions. And, oh, good. Wait for the mic runner, and then, perfect.
Yes, hello. My name is Karen, and I'm with DocuSign in Chicago. I have a question for you. As you mentioned, technology is constantly changing, and it is imperative to keep in mind that it is an enabling tool for the end user. So how are you constantly reinventing yourself to keep up with the technology, the industry, your personal life, and your career development, as you've mentioned already, has been amazing, and I'm a little jealous. So.
No, don't be jealous. You will get...
Join the party, come on.
Much better than that. You will be much better than that. I think, look, you need to... Knowledge, the shelf life of knowledge is extremely short, right? And you need to understand that. And education is not what you do, maybe going to college and doing one certification. I think you need to constantly learn. What I do, practically do, I read a lot. I connect with people that obviously know much more than me, right? I'm extremely curious. I go to conferences. I write articles. And you know why I write articles? Because that's how I learn. When I was in the university, I was the one that my friends were reading the book and said, I'm done for the test. I said, no, I read the book, I have to do my notes, and then I go and do the test, right? So for me, writing is a way of digesting the learnings and solidifying my understanding. It's tough to be on top of everything. So the second skill that you need to have is which are the things that you have passion for, that are relevant for the field in where you work, and focus on those, right? I mean, if you try to know about everything, you end up maybe not knowing that much, right? So have a big picture, focus on 2 or 3 things that you think you have passion and you can apply, and move on.
His articles are good, so read them.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, Marcelo.
Hey,
Andrew
good
with
question.
Microsoft. So last night over dinner, you were telling me that you work for a flat company. I think most of us here work for a typically organized company. So maybe you can explain what that means and how it all works. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ThoughtWorks, we don't have a hierarchy. We call ourselves a flat organization, which is not 100% true, because there is, we say, not an org chart, but there is people that make decisions. But when we have a problem, we really get into a room, the right people, and we're all equals. No one is going to look at, are you a vice president, a senior director, an analyst, a developer? Everyone is equal. We might choose to get one person that is, I would say, the chosen amongst equals. And that is because, for example, if we are talking about UX design and we have a designer, well, you don't want Marcelo to have the final word on design, specifically when he wants to wear orange shoes, right? But that's what we do. That's what we do, right? We have some committees in where decisions are escalated, but we don't escalate that much. We really push the teams to be empowered to make decisions. Now, empowerment is a great, everyone wants to be empowered, right? You want to be empowered in your company. I am the one. I'm going to make the decisions and make it happen. Well, let me tell you something. Empower works when it comes with accountability. So you are empowered. I give you all the freedom of the world, resources, money, everything. But you know what? We have an outcome. I need to achieve it. And if you don't, we will discuss it, right? What did we learn? What are we going to do next, right? But you need to be accountable for the outcome. So it's empowerment and accountability in a flat organization with a few people that make the big decisions.
Okay. Another question?
Hi, my name is Mauricio. I'm with Cisco. And one of the questions I have is around high-performing teams. Like, what is your definition of high-performing team? How do you build one? And how do you overcome when, like, maybe team members have a conflict with each other, they're not getting along with each other?
If I can choose one characteristic of a high-performing team, only one, I would choose many, right? Maybe three, but it's alignment. Alignment meaning, this is to me alignment. You own my success, I own your success. That's what we do in climbing teams. If I go, we share the rope. If you fall, I'm going to take your fall. But if I fall, you do the same. So to me, what I always work in teams, agile or not agiles, that doesn't matter, is that making sure that each person is owning the success of each other and the outcome of the whole team. That's number one. The second part of your question was about?
Like a difficult, like what do you do with a difficult team member, I think was that?
Yeah, difficult team member. Well, specifically in ThoughtWorks, feedback is considered a gift, and it can be shared at any time with respect, and it's always with positive intent. If someone is telling me, Marcelo, I'm disappointed about how you led the meeting because you didn't let this person to talk, and he had a point of view, and you put him off, for example, right? And I will listen to that. And feedback, those conversations, this is a real conversation. I did that. Shame on me, I did that. I'm having poor leadership for a time of a meeting. I was under stress, right? And the person came to me and said, Marcelo, I'm not expecting that from you. And I said, thanks. Obviously, I didn't do it again. I'm watching myself different. So you need to have the critical conversations. If something happens, you know what? Sometimes you need to have the critical conversation as soon as possible. You might, as soon as possible, look at the context, right? Maybe if you're in a big meeting and say, you know, Marcelo, I mean, maybe it's not the right, but right after the meeting when you're one-on-one, you have a conversation.
We have another question.
Hi, I'm Alex Agudelo with Microsoft. So you were talking about iteration and failing fast, moving forward, learning. And I was just curious, how do you measure success in iteration to share that success with upper management and also with customers, maybe?
We typically have a few metrics, right? Depending on the outcome. For example, if we are trying to test the adoption of a digital product, right? Let's say in Pirelli, how much adoption are we going to get from these smart tires? We have for that sprint or that iteration, that specific outcome. And when we go back to management, we either say we achieve it, and these are the results, and the adoption has been blah, 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 blah %. But if the numbers are bad, if adoption has been only 2%, right? It comes with, okay, our hypothesis was X, we did this, we didn't get the results we were expecting. Now, what we learn are these three things. What we're going to do next is we're going to change the product here, we are not going to do this here, and we're going to change the marketing where we test our product, and that is going to be the basis for the next iteration. The other conversation sometimes we have with CFOs, which are a little bit more reluctant to fund experiments, right? And you might find this more interesting for your case, is, you know, have some conversation when I'm saying, okay, you show me this plan, you're going to do this thing, 3 months for this, and at the end, you're going to have this product. We don't know. This is full of assumptions. So my question to you is, today you are doing a bet of funding a project of $5 million. I'm giving you the choice to give me $200,000 for the next 90 days to really test if you really need to invest $5 million. So you have an option, and it's all upside at the end of the day. Because you either hit it or you don't, but if you don't, you're better off spending $200,000 on $5 million, right? I mean, and the faster you know that, the better for your forecast, right? So those two conversations we have is not an easy conversation to have. I'm not going to hide that. You know, to make something a habit, you need to do it 7 times. To do that with CFOs, you need to do it 70 times. So, so you need to consistently make the point.
Okay. We have any other questions? Okay, I had a couple, just a few to leave kind of the audience with before we break. So you mentioned fearless, that was your word. That's an advice for all emerging executives, fearless. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
iPhone.
iPhone here, Android in Asia.
Okay. What is the app that you use the most?
Uber.
Uber.
Yeah, in the morning, in the afternoon, when I go to the airport, when I come back home, yeah.
Uber. Okay.
Yeah.
If your life was a movie, what actor would play you?
I think it would be Tom Hanks, maybe in Forrest Gump, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, I love the character because, you know, he's very tenacious and compassionate and, you know, always looking at positive things, but, you know, being realistic with our shortcomings and being aware of those and, you know, pivoting and changing as we live our lives.
So we started with the theme in your career. Oh, we have a question.
Actually, I have a comment.
Okay.
I think he would be Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. I have a certain set of skills.
Because he has a special set of skills.
Special set of skills. I can see him saying that. That's a good one. Actually, I think that one might be better than Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it might be.
But we started around talking about your career being about transformation, that being a theme. But I think you also have another theme based on our time together, which is positivity. And everything, assuming positive intent, positive arrogance, right? All of those is looking at things from a positive perspective. Even iterating and failing fast is also looking at things from a positive perspective. So great advice to all of you. I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you.
For having a nice conversation with all of us today.
Thank you very much.
And thank all of you for your participation.
Thank you.
Thanks.